Week 10 of the fantasy baseball season, and here's a few pitchers I would look to drop this week. The first guy's Brady Singer of the Kansas City Royals, so it's been an up and down season so far here for Brady Singer, and he's just not that consistent to really hold a roster spot, in my opinion, this season here in fantasy baseball. So on the season, 3-5, 63 hits given up in 59 innings, 4 homers, 23 walks, 62 strikeouts, a 4.88 ERA, 1.46 whip, and 4 quality starts in the last couple weeks here for Singer. 14 innings, 1-2 record, 20 hits, 12 earned runs, a homer, 6 walks, 16 strikeouts, a 7.71 ERA, and a 1.86 whip here. So right here, he's not really going deep into games. He's got bombed the last 2 out of 3 outings for the most part here as Singer. And he's on a Kansas City Royal team that, in my opinion, just isn't that good. And they're not going to give him much run support throughout the season as it goes on. So May 27th at Tampa Bay, 2 2/3. Got the loss in that one. 4 hits, 6 earned runs. A homer giving up 2 walks, 3 Ks, a 20.25 ERA, and a 2.25 whip. Then June 1st versus Pittsburgh, 5 2/3. Got the win. 8 hits, 4 earned runs, a walk, 6 strikeouts, a 6.35 ERA, and a 1.59 whip. And then yesterday versus the Minnesota Twins, 5 2/3. Got the loss, 8 hits, 2 earned runs, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts, a 3.18 ERA, and a 1.94 whip. So right here, Singer, he hasn't had a quality start in his last 3 outings. He's been hit hard and not going into deep into games the last few outings. And he's just not on a great team. So right now, I think it's an easy drop candidate is Singer. And I know he's still owned in 38% of fantasy leagues, but that number should go down more. The next pitcher is Kluber of the New York Yankees. So Kluber, we know he threw a no-hitter a few weeks ago, and then started to right after that. He went on the injured list here with a shoulder injury, and now he's been transferred to the 60-day DL. And that means he's going to be out at least 2 months now, is Kluber, and he's only been dropped in 3% of fantasy leagues so far this week and still owned in 63%. But right now, I don't even think he's worth a stash. He's up there in age. He's an older pitcher now. In the last 2 or 3 seasons, it's always been a major injury here for Kluber, where he's going to have to miss extended time and be on the injured list. And on the season so far, 53 1/3, 4-3 record, 41 hits, 18 earned runs, 5 homers, 23 walks, 55 strikeouts, a 3.04 ERA, and a 1.20 whip with 3 quality starts. So Kluber, he was actually pretty consistent and pretty good for fantasy owners this year on a good New York Yankee team. But right now, he's injured. I can't trust him. Who knows when he's going to come back? And he's an easy drop, in my opinion, this week, with him just extended and put on that 60-day DL with that shoulder injury, because Kluber, he just couldn't stay healthy the last few seasons. And right now, I'm just not going to trust him. So if I got a lot of guys on my injured list, he's an easy drop this week, because I don't even think he's worth a stash in general, especially in shallower of fantasy leagues. The next pitcher is John Gray of the Colorado Rockies. So John Gray, he was on the drop list last week, and now this week he's definitely going to make it more with another poor outing and him going on the injured list with an elbow injury, even though there's no structural damage. So on the season here for John Gray, 63 innings, 4-6 record, 54 hits, 30 earned runs, 8 homers given up, 27 walks, 50 strikeouts, 4.29 ERA, a 1.29 whip, and 5 quality starts. But the last couple weeks for him, before he went down, 5 1/3, 0-2 record, 8 hits, 8 earned runs, 2 homers given up, 5 walks, 2 Ks, a 13.5 ERA, and a 2.44 whip here for John Gray. So Gray, he hasn't gone deep into games even before the injury, and he's been hit hard, and now he's going to be out at least a minimum of 10 days. But with the elbow injury, even with no structural damage, I think he's going to be out probably a month here or more as Gray. So the last 3 outings for him, May 23rd versus Arizona, 6 innings, no decision, 2 hits, 3 earned runs, a homer, 2 walks, 3 Ks, a 4.50 ERA, 0.67 whip, and a quality start. May 29th at the Pirates, 3 innings, got the loss, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, 3 walks, 2 Ks, 9 ERA, a 2.33 whip. And June 4th versus the Oakland Athletics, 2 1/3, got the loss, 4 hits, 5 earned runs, 2 homers, 2 walks, a 19.29 ERA, and a 2.57 whip. So Gray, he was off to a good start early in the season, but the real John Gray has shown up now, where he walks the ballpark, where he gets hit hard, and where he finds his way on the injured list once again this season. So right now he's been dropped in 5% of fantasy leagues this week, and I would drop him in even more now and not stash him on my roster. The next pitcher is Jake Arrieta of the Chicago Cubs. So Arrieta, he got off to a good start early in the season and had good fantasy value, and then he got injured for a couple weeks, and now he's come back, and he's been hit pretty hard over the last few weeks here. And on the season for Jake Arrieta, 44 and a third, 4-4 record, 51 hits, 25 earned runs, 6 homers, 16 walks, 32 strikeouts. That ERA ballooned up to 5.08 with a 1.51 whip and 2 quality starts in the last couple weeks here for Arrieta. 10 2/3, 1-2 record, 17 hits, 10 earned runs, 3 homers, 7 walks, 11 strikeouts, an 8.44 ERA and a 2.25 whip. So Arrieta, it's been tough sledding for him. He hasn't had a quality start in his last 4 outings, and right now he's not worth the roster spot in most fantasy leagues, in my opinion. And he's been dropped in 3% of fantasy leagues this week. So the last few outings here for Arrieta: May 25th at Pittsburgh, 5 innings, got the win, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, a walk, 7 Ks, a 3.60 ERA, and a 1.20 whip. Then May 30th versus Cincinnati, 3 2/3, got the loss, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, a homer, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts, a 4.95 ERA, and a 2.73 whip. And then June 4th at San Francisco, 2 innings, got the loss, 6 hits, 6 earned runs, 2 homers, 2 walks, a K, a 27 ERA, and a 4 whip. So right here, he's not going deep into games. He's not pitching quality baseball at all here, is Arrieta. And I know this Cub team's been a good surprise this season, but right now Arrieta isn't worthy of a roster spot in fantasy leagues. And his next outing is going to be June 9th at the San Diego Padres. And the 5th and final pitcher I will look to drop this week's Jameson Taillon of the New York Yankees. So Taillon this season found a new home here with the Yankees after getting traded in that Pittsburgh Pirate fire sale in the offseason. But right here, he just can't find anything going with his new team. I thought he would be a little bit better than he has been this season, is Taillon, but that just hasn't been the case. Fantasy owners, they've dropped him in 3% of fantasy leagues, and he just doesn't really go deep into ball games or get much decisions under his belt as well. On the season, 53 innings, 1-4 record, 51 hits, 30 earned runs, 10 homers, 16 walks, 58 strikeouts, a 5.09 ERA, and a 1.26 whip, and a quality starter, and that's the whole season. And in the last couple weeks, 10 1/3, 0-1 record, 11 hits, 6 earned runs, a homer, 4 walks, 8 Ks, 5.23 ERA, a 1.45 whip. So Taillon, he's just not going out there and producing, and I think he's owned in more leagues than he should have, because he's on this New York Yankee team that's obviously talented and obviously a World Series contender pretty much each and every season. But Taillon, he's just not cutting it for fantasy or the Yankees, in my opinion. So the last few outings for him: May 23rd versus the White Sox, 5 innings, no decision, 2 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 4 Ks, and 0.80 whip. May 31st versus Tampa, 5 innings, got the loss, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, a homer, 3 walks, 5 Ks, a 5.40 ERA, a 1.60 whip. And then June 5th versus the Boston Red Sox, 5 1/3, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, 3 Ks, a 5.06 ERA, and a 1.31 whip. So right here, 5 innings it seems like, and change is the max here for Taillon. He hasn't reached the 6th inning since his start May 7th versus the Boston Red Sox. So right now, it's been a total train wreck for Taillon. And fantasy owners, they're off the name right now, hoping he turns things around. But right now, I don't think he will. And right now, his next start's at the Minnesota Twins, which is a pretty favorable matchup in my opinion. But I can't trust Taillon, and he's an easy drop this week. So that's a few pitches I will look to drop here in Week 10 of the fantasy baseball season.